Welcome to Porch Play Chats, sponsored by the American Association for the Child's Right to Play, or more affectionately called IPA USA. IPA USA is the USA affiliate of the International Play Association, and as part of our efforts to promote play, we've introduced Porch Play Chats, and there will be, by the end of 2025, over 300 of them that are free to you. You can find them if you go to ipausa.org. That's our website. Up in that top right-hand corner, you can follow us on follow us on Instagram, be a friend on Facebook, subscribe to YouTube. And if you listen to podcasts, we're now on Spotify, and you can find all 300, well, not quite 300 of them yet, but they're getting loaded up slowly as we move through. I think we have all of 2024 up, and now we're going backwards to the other ones. So please find us and look for those, because every Monday morning a new Porch Play Chat shows up in your feed. I'm Deb Lawrence, and I'm president of IPA USA, and with me on the porch is Debbie Rhea. Hello and good morning.
Good morning, Deb. It's good to see you and hear you.
Oh, it's so good. Oh, so good to see you. So Debbie is a professor of kinesiology and the founding director of the LiiNK Project at Texas Christian University. She began as a teacher and coach in a public school, and then she transferred to the university setting for a 45-year span in education. We are so close. I'm about that too, because my oldest is 45 and I started at 6 months when he was 6 months. She's received LiiNK has received national media attention on the Today Show and NBC Nightly News. And she is so focused on the need for recess in schools, and some schools having difficulty with implementing recess because, and interestingly, last night at the board meeting, people were saying people are not letting them have recess anymore because there are too many acting outs, because they're not setting expectations and helping teachers understand the importance. So again, another barrier for poor children and recess. So she's an author, researcher, motivational speaker, educational consultant, and a behavior change trainer. And LiiNK is an amazing and successful project. So today she's going to just talk about all the exciting happenings in advocating for recess. So, I can't wait to hear.
I know this is going to be awesome. So you want me to get started?
Yes.
All right. So I want to start with something that I thought about last year, trying to change my angle just a little bit. So let me back up. The LiiNK Project, if you do it in full swing, it is an agreement between a school district and TCU LiiNK to try this program for at least 3 years. And you start in grades K and 1, and then you move up to second grade and then third grade, so that the kids are getting this consistency throughout the years that they have recess. And then the recess can't be withheld for punishment or tutoring. We don't actually allow balls on the playground for the young kids because we want them to be more engaged in free, unstructured, unsolicited play. And in today's culture, the ball represents sport in just about anything they do. And children are so engaged in that it ends up creating a competition too early in their childhood. And we want less competition in recess for these young children. So it does a lot of things around that, but it also focuses on transitions for teachers, getting them from the classroom to the playground and back, making sure that everything's really efficient and tight so that they're not losing a lot of minutes. And then there's a character development curriculum that goes with it. And they agree to really focus on this program for 3 years so that they can see how well it does as the teachers get better at it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, after COVID, there was a lot of concern about wanting to do a program like that because they had social emotional issues, and they were concerned that they needed to put in a stronger character curriculum or social emotional skill training with counselors and so forth, and let go of this kind of thing. When in fact, that was the opposite of what they should be doing, because social emotional health comes from their ability to go outside and play. And when they can't do that, it just brings on more heartache, concern, issues around children not doing what they're supposed to do when they're left inside so much of the time.
Yeah.
So now back to what I'm doing, just to give you that update. So after I realized that schools were not going to go forward with LiiNK because they just need to put all their money into curriculum to help them
and catch them up.
Yep.
Don't forget that
Yeah, don't forget that part that they can't do, but they're going to try. I realized that I needed to go from a different angle. So the angle that I'm using now, and I want everybody to know this, I don't have the grant funds for people moving forward yet, but what I did do is I wrote a Blue Cross Blue Shield Texas grant. And what I wanted to do is include 10 schools. They could be from the same district. They could be from different districts. They could be from up in my area, which is the Dallas-Fort Worth area. They could be from another area of the state, but they needed to be Title I schools, very diverse schools, maybe a lot of attrition in the schools, just to see what's going on in a different setting and try this new approach. And here's the approach. It's LiiNK Light, meaning it's not the project itself, but it's for people to at least try it, get their toes wet, see what it does for them. It's a lot less expensive to roll out. And what it involves is training, 4 1.5-hour trainings to teach about procedures of recess, meaning what should teachers get involved in, what is considered safe versus uncomfortable, and how to let yourselves be on the outside and let the kids play. And so it was about this, being a little more risk promoting and less controlled environments.
Yes.
As well as teaching them the reasons why it needs to be outdoors, and not that they can just get up every 3 minutes or every 20 minutes and do this
energizer
activity in the room and then get back in their seats and then be off task again in another 20 minutes, because being outdoors gives them so much more depth around physical activity, the mental capacity to engage in different ways out there, as well as the social emotional health of being able to socialize with kids from all different classes within their grade level, the emotional side of I'm happy again, I'm getting to run and play, I get to do what I want to at least for 20 minutes before I have to go back in and so forth. So it was all that training on that piece. And then I also did a training at the end about trust-based relational intervention, which is when you have children who do have trauma, abuse, or neglect, or you have trauma, abuse, and neglect, how can we quickly diffuse what we call a red group, which is angry, very aggressive type kids, or what we call yellow, which is more of an anxious, fear-driven group, or a blue, which is more depressed or tired or bored group. And so we talk about these things. How do we actually do that? And those are the 4 trainings, just to get them ready to do the task. The task is that we, as the grant, purchase $1,000 per school worth of loose parts for grades K1 and 2 to engage with these loose parts. And it's anything from bamboo poles, PVC pipe and connectors, sticks. So you know where those things can go, right? Building things, to shovels and buckets and different types of little things that they can maneuver and build and do things with, pots and pans, all kinds of things like that. They'll keep them in a certain area of the playground so that they can be picked up, so that 3rd, 4th, and 5th don't work with them. And you may say, well, why are you only doing K1 and 2? Because there's only so much money right now to help. And that's still, it's a good amount of equipment, but it doesn't really help to have it across all grade levels, because 3rd, 4th, and 5th are going to be more rough with it. They may, do things and that now K1 and 2 can't engage in as much. And so I really wanted to focus on the littles right now. But they would then, after those trainings, receive the $1,000 worth of equipment. And then from there, I will have done a pre-observation, which I've just done in the schools, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. And then I'll go back and do a couple of more observations to see how they do as they roll out the equipment from kind of a middle time period, maybe March, until the end, right before they leave for the summer. And then talk to the teachers about feedback that they have. Were the kids better, worse, whatever? What kind of feedback do they have as far as using the loose parts and so forth? And go from there. And so it's a simple concept. It's much less invasive. But then I'll tell you some challenges that have come along. So I put out the invoice, the call to schools across Texas. And I'm sure if people listen to this porch chat, they're going to go, I didn't hear about it. Well, they may, who knows if they heard about it or not, but still it went out. And the school district that really wanted us to come, and they wanted 10 schools, they would have taken more if we would have done it, was a school district called FAR San Juan Alamo ISD, PSJA.
That's where I graduated and went to school, just so you know.
I want you to know I love that district. Oh my gosh. I had gotten connected with them through Texas Children in Nature Network with Sarah Coles. And she had said, this is a district that would probably love to do this. They were doing some other things with them in a project to build some landscapes out there, naturescapes. And Green Space was going to help with that. And Green Space has helped with this one as well. They're the ones that put the loose part packages together and shipped them down. And so anyway, they had 10 schools that were ready to go. And I said, okay, they need to be Title I. The principals, the teachers need to be on board. So they did all the work behind the scenes, and they decided that the trainings would happen during the school day, and helpers in the school could come in and take the classes for just paraprofessionals could come in and take the classes while they did these 1.5 hour trainings. And so they did. They rolled it out. We did a training each week for 1.5 hours, got it done, and now the loose parts will roll out this next week. You may say, well, why only the spring? Because the fall was kind of a capture period, who all was going to be involved and so forth. What's interesting is the principals could be on the training, but they weren't, some of them weren't. And so as a result, we're going to do a principal training this week on Thursday to make sure they're up to date so that they know what to look for when the teachers have the stuff. One of the thoughts is that if they really liked what they heard from the trainings and they wanted to add a second recess, that would be very favorable from my perspective, is that we're giving them $1,000 worth of parts. It's a lot of material. Why not see what it would be like to have these 2 recesses? Well, in a lot of schools these days, my assumption was different from their assumption. I assumed that they already had a recess sometime in the day, but I didn't realize it was associated with lunch. And with the lunch, that's fine, but it was the paraprofessionals doing the lunch. And who did I train? The teachers. So most of the schools, I think, decided to go ahead and do a second recess. And they'll be in charge of that one. And that's the one that I'll be focused on, not the one at lunch. And so that's the one where they'll have the loose parts out and so forth. So great thought, great ideas. They are so excited. It's working well. And so I think that's a really good, so far, I'm seeing great movement towards something that I think more school districts can do. And it wouldn't even cost the school district that much to do these trainings and to pay for that equipment to get that in their schools and get something rolled out. Even if they're not doing LiiNK, at least it's a precursor. And if later they decide they want to do LiiNK, which is really engaging in a full transformation of a school setting, they've at least gotten it started and they're in a good place to get the rest of it going. So,
and they've had some practice.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, absolutely. Just to get it going.
It's like the baby step to LiiNK. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, it's something that I had wanted to do before, and I just didn't I didn't know how to do it yet because I needed to have more research on what was working, you know, what are things that I could introduce and maybe not do all the introduction because it's too much. And so, yeah, this has worked really well so far. I like it. I've made some adjustments if I were to do it again, just with things that we've learned. But all in all, I think this is a good way to roll out baby steps for people who just want to try something.
And that's a very diverse district.
Mm-hmm.
Of the ones right there on the Mexican border, very diverse district. I was like one of three Caucasian students. So I feel like, people go, oh, you know, I said I grew up in a classroom where I was the minority, and it was wonderful.
Yeah.
Have all those friends with all these different cultures that were we were on the playground playing together. It was fabulous. And
Yep.
so give Forest San Juan Alamo a little hug and kiss for me, because that's where, I mean, I think my parents moved there when I was in third grade. And so third grade all the way up through high school.
I tell
Truly.
you, when it comes to what what happens down there, I had no idea until I got there.
Hmm.
But I have to tell you, those kids are incredible.
They're incredible.
They are. They are so well mannered. They
Mhm.
are so they just want to play, And when they get out there, their little screams and their little, voices and all, it's all about just having fun and enjoying where they are. When they get these loose parts next week,
Oh,
I can't
they're
wait to go see this.
they're gonna love it. They're
Yes.
gonna love it. Oh, that's so exciting.
Yeah.
So that's a wonderful happening. So
Yes.
I like LiiNK Light. That's cute.
Yes. Link
And then
lights.
Stepping Stone.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. And I'm going to have to call it that. So, for a model going forward. Another link happening, and before I go into some other states, but another link happening is that the LiiNK website has changed in this past year to be um, more easily accessible, meaning people can get to things more easily for research articles, ways that they can get trainings, things like that. And so we have a training now called the Power of Outdoor Play, and it's for anybody who wants to know more about, let's say a family member says, I just want to know how to get my kids outside more. I want
Mm.
to know why it's important to have them in certain settings, or what does this really do for to benefit my child in what they do at home versus what they do at school or around their peers at home and so forth. It's just a really good overview of why the outdoors and why certain types of play are critical for these kids to have early and often throughout their years in elementary, middle, and high school. Um,
So and they find that on the linked website.
yep, they can
Okay.
find it on the LiiNK website at liinkproject.tcu.edu.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
So
LiiNK, LiiNK.
yeah, I love that too. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna find the website and I'll stick it in the YouTube description.
that would be awesome. Yeah, so that's there along with other just resources of articles that are out there on different things, and then our articles as well. So there's a lot going on that website that, you know, people can just connect with through Facebook, any other social media sites, Instagram, LinkedIn, all those things, and be able to get updates and announcements that come out. If we do a grant, they'll know, hey, I need to get involved, or yes, I
Yeah.
want my school district involved, or whatever. So it's a great way to do that. Um, so that's that. Now let's go to some of the things that are happening around the country, which is
Mhm.
kind of cool. So we're talking USA.
Yep.
Um, one of the most phenomenal right now, and I don't want to take anything away from Arizona because Arizona Recess,
They were the leaders.
oh my
Right?
gosh, they have done some amazing work. I've been working with them in the past, up to 10 years ago, and
Mm-hmm.
they have done amazing work. So please shout out to Arizona Recess. They're circling back now. They're doing some more things. I'm not sure what all they're moving forward on, but I did get an email from them, and I'll do some updates if I can with you. I just don't know today what those are at this point, but they're moving and shaking again to try to put some more in place in Arizona. But another one that is moving and shaking as much as Arizona did before, and they are really going after it, are the recess moms in Tennessee.
Go moms.
Oh my gosh. And I hear all the time, if the recess moms get involved, things are going to start shaking because senators and House of Representatives do not want to deal with moms. They're worse than any business or school district whatsoever. But what they've been doing, and they've done it over the past at least two legislation periods, but they've been working on those legislators to say, we need quality recess in Tennessee. And they've put LiiNK forward. They've been saying, look what LiiNK has shown over these years. And now they've got 10 years of data to show this. And they are going after it with, it's showing mental stability, it's showing focus in the classroom, it's showing academic improvement, it's showing social skill improvement, affective improvement. What is it that you need to get this going in Tennessee? And they're just hammering on it. So as of this legislative session, they've got House and Senate leadership who are writing bills to go in cahoots with one another to bring, they're saying that they're looking at up to 60 minutes. I haven't talked to them yet about what that would look like and how that would engage, because there are a lot of challenges when you roll out 60 minutes and you don't know what you're doing, right?
Exactly.
A lot of
Yeah.
challenges. So it's better to start with 30 or maybe 2 20s, like 2 15s or 2 20s to get started, because you don't need as much training for that. But I've done some conversations with news media already, because they know that this bill is percolating and that they're really trying to write it in a way that's going to be productive. They're trying to make sure that they include things like you can't withhold it for punishment or tutoring. So these kinds of things are percolating. I'm not saying they're in the final bill, but they're percolating right now. And I've been involved with the recess moms on having a one-on-one conversation with the House and the Senate chairs of the recess committees. And so we'll see where that goes. But this has shown more promise than I've seen in a long time on ways that they really want to make it a productive recess bill that'll have some teeth behind it, some monetary support, and so forth, which other bills across the way have not had resources with monetary support.
Tied in there. That's exactly right. Oh my goodness. So recess moms need to be members of IPA USA so we can get play back into the kindergartens and in the classrooms as well as recess.
I totally agree. Yep. I will get Rachel involved in this with you. I'll make sure that she gets connected, because she is all three of the moms that are kind of the leaders of this. They're action packed. I'm going to be doing a podcast with them this next week. It'll probably roll out in the next 2 or 3 weeks. And I'll connect you with it if you want to put it on your website.
Yes, we'll stick it on the IPA USA website, because
That's awesome.
I think people just don't know how to start.
Yep.
And so their leadership in how to start is a great place to go. And there was something else I was thinking about with them. But we certainly want to highlight, and one of the things Debbie and I talked about before we started recording, is I'm going to find all the legislation that has been done on recess across the country, and I'll put it up on the website so you'll have additional resources for um, advocating for recess, so that you can see what some of the bills do. And I kind of eventually want to do a rating system.
Yes.
This one's like a C.
Yes. That would be awesome.
Yeah, and then we could do it. Well, I couldn't do it. You and recess people would do it. But I think it would be interesting so that states know what they could do next time to improve.
Right, because I agree with you. One of the things, there are a lot of states that have a recess bill. The recess bill states nothing more than all schools need at least 20 minutes or need 20 minutes of recess daily. But now states can decide if physical education can count as recess or recess can count as physical education. It does not stipulate that it has to be separate from physical education and that you need both.
Yes.
So there's none of that in there. It's just there's a blanket statement about you need this much. Oh, well, then school districts can decide, okay, well, I'm going to do it this way. But the other thing that's not in a recess bill is what type of recess are they looking at? Do they want it to be where it's more of a structured recess, which if it is, then that's more in line with, and scary, which is more in line with physical education. And they go, oh, well, if we're going to do structured, we can just do physical education, and that provides the recess piece, or vice versa. Or
so here's the other thing we need to do, like
Yep.
soon. We need to do, if your state's thinking about a recess bill, here's the things to include.
Yep.
Right? Here's what's important in
Absolutely.
that bill. Oh, yeah. So, see how much work we're making for ourselves.
I know, exactly right. And these things are really important, right? That they know that it can't be withheld. Of course, what happens on that is teachers say, well, then what can I do if kids are having issues before they go to recess, and I don't want to send the message that it's okay for them to do what they do. And my statement to that is, if you don't allow them to go ahead and play at recess, even though they've done something in class, they're going to be worse when they come back instead of better. And what you need to do when you go out there is use the first part of the time to talk to them about what happened and why it happened, because it could be a PTSD moment. And if teachers don't really realize that something scared them or something was off, that reminding them of something at home, or, whatever it may have been, if they're not realizing that, they're just pushing those buttons even further instead of allowing them to go out and play and get it out of their system. So that's stuff that needs training. And with
Right.
training, which is a resource, without that, just call it professional development and say, I need to do professional development, and I need to get key people to come in and do this that have worked in these areas with these kinds of things. And the more they can do that around the recess bills, the better off they are. So,
well, and there are people who have successfully demonstrated, right? The LiiNK Project has successfully demonstrated.
yep.
Peter Gray's work and Lenore Scasey have successfully demonstrated
Yeah.
that with training and support, it works. And you got to be committed to it. You can't just say, we'll try it for a week and oh no, that didn't work and we're going to move on. I mean, these kids have been so contained that a little bit of freedom without teachers understanding what that is and children having some boundaries that are not restrictive.
Yep.
What do you expect, right?
I know.
What do you expect to
I
happen?
know. So the last thing for happenings, because I know we may be almost out of time, but the last thing that's happening that I'm liking this as well, is that certain people in certain states, so it could be, for example, in California, up on the north part of California, one of our esteemed colleagues, Summer, is having me come talk to school districts about the needs that they have to roll out their new recess bill. And so it's region centers who are now saying, hey, I know somebody who can come train on this, that is a resource, that the bill's been put out there. They have to do recess, but the principals, the superintendents, principals, and teachers
No
are,
idea.
oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? What's going to happen? So they're pulling me in to do some things like that, which is great because when you do that, whether it's the region centers that are doing it or the state that does it, it doesn't really matter as long as they get the training they need. Now,
Mhm.
training is how much training is enough? I don't know. But if they get training and it's successful and they want more training, region centers will probably say, hey, we'll put more in our budget to do more around this to try to help with this particular bill to make sure that it's effective when it goes out. Georgia, on the other hand, is doing something a little different, and it's not recess oriented, but it's individuals who were trained counselors, community support people who work in play environments. In fact, they are part of a play structure in that they work with trust-based relational intervention, TBRI, and they don't know how to engage in play outdoors. They've always been on the floor with kids indoors. They've worked in trauma relational kind of things, but they're uncomfortable in the outdoors. And so they're calling to say, can we do some training on being more comfortable outdoors? Some of the
Mhm.
fears we have. How do we engage our kids differently in outdoor settings versus indoor settings? So these are all happenings that are
Bubbling
going
up.
on. Yeah. And that I just wanted to put out there because I think they're all important and they all need a home to understand how to do things differently. And so, yeah, things are going well to try to get the resources available and try to put things in place so that people can do good things.
Well, and I think people, I'm sure there's other, recess
Mm-hmm.
moms or mom groups that are like, my kid comes home absolutely drained
Yep.
because they've been sitting and now they have homework to do and now they have all of this. And so I bet, and the one thing that I that was just in the paper last week is, oh my God, our reading scores are horrible. And I'm like, yes. And it's not the kids, right? It's
Exactly.
not the kids. And so maybe we need a little article in the New York Times and the Washington Post that say how to get those reading scores up. It's not what you think it is, right?
Exactly.
So maybe we should work on an article too. So let's
Yeah.
write those things down. Let's get
I'm
busy
writing them. I'm writing them.
because I think that I was like trying to take a nap the other day and all I could think about were, oh my God, they're gonna, lengthen the school year and lengthen the school day again. And that's not what kids need
I know.
to improve their development. So I think we just need to have our voice out there more.
I agree.
Okay, you're wonderful. Thank you so much. I have lots for us to do.
Yes,
Yeah,
you have created a lot more work for me.
I have, and that's why we do these.
I know
Okay,
it. I love it.
hang tight while I close this out. To
Okay.
learn more about IPA USA, please visit our website at ipausa.org. Debbie Ray has done tons of Porch Play Chats. So if you go to YouTube and you search for Porch Play Chat with Debbie Ray, RHEA, they will all pop up for you. And you can have them at a staff meeting or have them as part of professional development and then have a conversation afterwards that will help you get some tools that you need in your tool belt to move this forward. And then we'll add some more things to the IPA USA website. Um, so until next time,
Yes.
keep on playing.
Thank you.